Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which, according to the lawsuit, prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her.
Y'all, we gotta talk. Okay? We have to talk. Okay, first things first is that I've been seeing, bits and pieces of this story and like things that are happening with it on social media, mainly on the news and stuff like that. Like, how can we not, right? How can we not see it? However, I try to keep my conversations centered around relationships. That's basically what I do. That's the conversations that I have here on my platform. And when I saw this situation, pop up on my timeline just now on social media, I was taken aback. Okay, I'm going to be honest. And, for most of you who are watching it here, you're seeing it very, it's covered. You don't see anything really, but to actually see, the unedited, nothing being covered video that we're seeing going around on social media was absolutely heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking. And I think that one of the things that's most important is that we have if we're being honest, right? There are so many women who I've talked about here on my channel or that we've seen on social media who just go out there and lie. Okay, there are too many women who have false allegations against men who get on the internet and lie. They just say anything. They make stuff up. They create narratives to try to get clout or, get some kind of benefit out of the situation. There are so many women who go to great lengths to do these things. Hence why we're at the age and stage now where if somebody did something and they are telling the truth, we are getting video footage that is being released to prove that the person is actually telling the truth nowadays. Which is good for all parties involved. If somebody did not do something, we have video footage showing that that person did not do it. If somebody did something, we have video footage showing that somebody did something. And I think that is very important and vital because we cannot just lead off of taking people's words for it because so many people have said words that were untrue. Okay? And that's just being very honest. There's so many people who have alluded to things, who have said things, who have implied things. And when you run it back, they were in their feelings. They just said that because they wanted clout. They just said that because they weren't getting something out of the situation that they thought they would. We've seen it time and time again. In this situation, this exposes the toxic relationship that Diddy and Cassie were actually in. The writings are all on the wall. Okay. Now I don't believe, I know for a fact I haven't spoken on the situation. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it in other videos or in other conversations, but when the entire thing came forward and she had her case and the lawyers came out and this and that, I always like to wait for more details before I have any conversation because when it comes to this severity of a situation, not something like people who are breaking up or divorces and you have other, kind of trails of things that they've said before. But when it comes to something as large as this, when her lawyers came forth and stuff, I'm like, okay, this woman hasn't said anything. Okay, we saw they were together. We've never seen her say anything. All we saw was she left with a trainer and she been with him, and that's it. And then the immediate kind of payday that happened immediately after, it kind of left people in this space of like, well, what's really being said? What's really going on? A lot of people, there were not a lot of people who did not believe her. It was very, I wouldn't even say 50-50. I think it was, 60% of the people who just off the bat just felt like, this has to be true. And 40% of the people who wanted the proof. Again, you can't blame either side because there's so many people who don't tell the truth. When this situation unfolded and there is actual footage showing this situation and exactly what happened, again, it is very telling of a very toxic relationship. The initial video is of her walking out of the hotel room barefooted with her stuff in her hand and, walking very fast down the hallway and pressing the button to get down the elevator. As she's leaning down to now put her shoes on to try to, run out the elevator because she knows she's soon going to be in the lobby. People are going to see her, whatever the case is. When Diddy comes out of the hotel room, he is running straight to her at the elevator and drags her to the ground and commences to kick and do all these other things. He then drags her. She stays there, and how it is the remnants of an actual toxic situation is because of her just laying there on the ground and not doing anything. When somebody just lay there and don't do anything, that means that this is something that she used to do. This is her getting into the fetal position and knowing that if I stay here long enough, that hopefully this will end quicker. Because I'm showing that I'm not a threat. She then gets up off the ground and then she goes to the phone and, she is dialing somebody on the phone. When he sees her on the phone, he drags her off the phone. Then as we saw in the video, he starts throwing bases at her. Okay. Regardless of if this is based off of his level of intoxication or not, regardless of if this is based off of, him being extremely inebriated and not understanding the magnitude of what's going on, regardless of if this is based off of him in response to maybe a toxic argument that they had in the room prior, or whatever the situation is, there is no excuse for this behavior. Period. Whether you are a man who is putting your hands on a woman, or whether you are a woman who is putting your hands on a man, there is never an excuse. Period. If you cannot control your emotions, you should not be in a relationship. Because when you are in a relationship, it is going to cause you to self-reflect. It is also going to reflect the innermost workings of you. It's going to show you to yourself the good stuff, the stuff that you've buried away, the traumas that you've had. It is going to bring all of those things to the surface. And if you are, in those situations and are met with certain versions of yourself that you are not happy with, and it is bringing out certain things out of you that you are now drawing another person into your drama, and you are forcing them to be a part of this toxic circle, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. The same way that whenever, a woman does things and I turn the conversation around and I say, well, what if a man did it? Whether it is a man who is, doing these things, initiating these things, or putting his hands physically on his woman, or whether it is a woman who is doing the same thing and is physically putting her hands on her man, it is unacceptable. It just is. First of all, anybody who can bring you to a certain level that takes you out of your logical mindset, you don't even need to be in a relationship with them. Let's just start there. And if it's a case that you are just used to being in these behaviors because of maybe who you are or what you do or whatever the case is, and you are just not okay with people not obeying you, and you lead to these behaviors in that aspect, you cannot force somebody to be a part of the game that you want to play. You just can't. You can't have people who are involved in these situations because you want them to be. Another thing that I think is extremely important to mention is that if you are this level of intoxicated, if you are intoxicated to this magnitude, that you are out of your mind, you running down the hallway with your towel around your waist, you barely know what's going on, whatever the case is, this could have led to a situation where you are now putting your own self in harm's way. You're putting yourself in danger. You could have put yourself in a situation where you deleted yourself for what? For the sake of what? It's unhealthy. And I have to say it again, that there's so many people who lie that whenever there's situations showing when a person is actually in danger, or showing a situation that a person was actually in a very difficult situation, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to. Because again, I have to say it again. There's so many people who rally behind people who are lying. And when it comes to find out that person was lying, we never hear that person being put on display and talk about, oh, well, I can't believe she lied. Oh, that was messed up. Oh, that was trifling. Oh, she almost ruined that man's life. Oh, she almost ruined that man's career. There's never conversations about that. So when somebody comes out and says something and it's actually, the truth is being shown, it's magnified, that it's true, we need to have the conversation as well. What's crazy about this situation is that now, based off of all the allegations that came forth after, she spoke out, or she said whatever it is that she said in her lawsuit that she filed against him, based off of all these things, it is now going to behoove people to now look at this situation and believe that all of these other things might also possibly be true. Although some of the allegations are not connected or whatever the case is, it's just now that people are now looking at you and seeing that your moral compass is now a little bit off. Now everything you do, they're going to question. Hence why it would, I won't use the same word again, it would behoove men to not put yourself in certain predicaments or certain situations, no matter what the situation is. There are certain men who are in situations, and you have women who will stand there and provoke and talk about, do it then. You ain't gonna do nothing. Do it. I dare you. Walk away. Whether it don't matter what emasculating things that she's saying, it doesn't matter how taunting she's being. Walk away and leave it where it is. It don't matter how good the kitty is. It don't matter how attractive she is. It's not worth it. It's not. And again, if you have your own situations, your own traumas, your own problems, that's up to you to deal with. That's up to you to work out. But you cannot bring somebody else into a situation, and if they don't want to be involved in that situation, try to force them to maintain or to stay in it with you. It goes for both sides. Women do it and men do it. A lot of times women do it in the face of, you trying to stay, keep your family, or they try to use your children to taunt you, or they try to, use a lot of different manipulation tactics to get you to stay with them in their brokenness, knowing that they're not going to evolve, knowing that they're not going to grow, knowing that they're not going to heal, but they want you to deal with it because they feel like they have ownership of you and that you have to stay. A lot of women use those manipulation tactics in the same exact way as men do. A lot of it is, well, where you gonna go? Nobody not gonna want you. Nobody not gonna want to be with you. Nobody not gonna stay with you. You have to. And the truth is, in both cases, you don't have to. This is dangerous. Far too many times we see, these situations, and I have to say it again, it's both sides. Men who do it and women who do it. And in these situations, so many times it leads where a lot of people don't say anything, because so many people lie. A lot of people who are really going through things don't get the highlight. And they figure that they might as well not say anything because people gonna look at them a certain way if they do. Because again, all these women who are quote unquote a part of the sisterhood, who claim they love other women and support other women, they do not understand that when they lie, the women who actually need support do not get it because everybody looks at it from the picture that you painted when you was lying. And because you were being trifling. We can't have a system who just believe everybody. Because it's been shown time and time again that a lot of these people will go to great lengths to create these horrific stories that are not true. Again, taking the highlight away from the people who are actually going through things. It's not worth it. It's shameful. It's distasteful. It's heartbreaking. A lot of people who are watching the whole thing, are mourning what they thought things were. Some people already knew. Some people already had certain ideas. But there's people who are mourning the things that they thought they knew about, or how they thought people would behave, or the truth that they thought they knew. And I get it. Again, as I said before, what's crazy is that once you are caught slipping, whether it was just this one bad day, whether it was just this one time, I'm not saying it is or not, I don't know. I'm just speaking in general. Whether it's this one bad day, whether it's this one time, whether, again, it's the result of an argument or an altercation that you had in the room that nobody got to see, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's out there for the world to see. And the fact that you were out here in this public place and you were doing this very, crazy thing in public, people are going to have their minds to say, I wonder if everything else is true. And again, to the men out there, it would behoove you to protect yourself in situations regardless of what it is. It doesn't make you any less masculine for walking away. It doesn't. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you lame. It doesn't make you any of the above. Whether she taunts you, whatever the case is, it does not make you less than. For a woman who is going through this situation, believe the person the first time. Because in being the weaker vessel, that's not a game you could even play with. It don't make sense. Even if it's situations that somebody is going through something, you guys are working through something, and it's not your non-negotiable, and you guys are going to figure things out. Even if that is the case, because everybody different, everybody has their own perspectives. Even if that is the case, you need to take some time and some space away. Because it can be very detrimental very fast. And sometimes not even intentionally. That's the crazy part. I think this was very heartbreaking to see for so many different reasons. I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.